Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra Kaye, and I hope that you are having a great day. Of course, you can also find me on my own channel, the Demetra Kaye Show, here on YouTube from Sunday through Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central Time, where we do the same thing that we're doing right now. In case you were looking for me outside of here, today and you can also find me here on Tuesday through Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Time. So jot it down somewhere. But today we're going to be talking about a pastor slamming his black Trump voters in his church during his sermon. I've seen this trending around, and I said yesterday we would be talking about this, try to break it all down and have a conversation. I find it to be very interesting. As you guys now know, churches can actively have the conversation about politics in their church, right? Before, they might have been able to bring up a politician or a candidate. They say, hey, they're going to speak to you. Their opinions aren't our opinions. You make your own decision. But now they can go off and say, hey, y'all need to vote for this person, or I don't like that person, right? And that was changed under the Trump administration as well. So we'll get into all of that. But while we are waiting for everybody to trickle on in, of course, you guys know I got to do it. We have an app. African Diaspora News Channel app that you can find on your phone, on your Google Play Store, your Apple Store, or whatever store you got on your phone, because you might got a Cricket phone. I don't know what they be doing on there, or whatever it is, Obama phone. Wherever you get your apps, please go there and get ours. Of course, you guys know that it is Black owned, for us, by us. The news you can use. It's the news that's a lot different than the one you're going to see on CBS, ABC, Fox, and all the other news channels that they call mainstream media, that they talk about us, and it's not normally in a good way. Again, they might say something good every once in a while, but it's rare, right? They paint us out to be the boogeyman and the worst people, the welfare queens and all that. But on our own app, we're going to give you all of that, but we're going to give it to you from our point of view, right? The one without the narrative that's steeped in supremacy, okay? So anyway, please do that. Again, it is Christmas. I know a lot of y'all don't celebrate, so you say, but if you do spend some money, spend some with us. That's all we saying. So anyway, hello, Albie Chill, Simply Sandra, what's going on? Renz, Troy, King Noble, Mike Nice. Nice to see you all. Decodus Jenkins, I like that name. How you doing? Shan, what's going on with you? The God, it's thank God it's over, rather. An African native. Woohoo! So anyway, let's go ahead and get started for the sake of time. So I was scrolling along on the internet, and I came across this video of a pastor by the name of John K. Jenkins out of Maryland, First Baptist Church of Glenarden or something like that. Anyway, was making his rounds, and he was, in a sense, taking his congregation, some in his congregation, to task. Now, I want to preface it before I show it. So he was given a scripture from Nineveh and all that other stuff. And then he mentioned that, of course, Trump and his administration is taking the discount from the national parks on Juneteenth and Martin Luther King birthday rather. And he's actually going to make it, he being Trump, on his birthday, June 14th, I guess that's when you'll get the discount. So basically you can't get the discount anymore on Juneteenth or Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Okay, so this pastor was kind of not feeling that. And then he went on to say this.
I don't get, I better leave that alone. Let me just roll on. I can't handle it. I have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. I don't get it. I don't get the support. I don't get it. I especially don't get people of color voting that way. All right now. Y'all see the claps are getting lower and lower. Some of them people here, some of them people who like him, voted for him, are here. Don't get mad because you ain't got no job. You voted for him. Please don't start me to cuss in here today. Please, Lord. I better leave this alone. I feel something.
So anyway, I'm gonna remove him. So of course, again, y'all heard him say, "Please don't get me to cursing." It's like, I hope you don't curse in the church, but if you do, that's your business. Cursing doesn't send you to hell, from what I understand. But nevertheless, so he's taking the Trump supporters in his congregation to task. Again, he says, don't cry if you don't have no job. Of course, there's a lot of jobs being lost on the federal level and here and there and everywhere. The job reports is very doom and gloom. In fact, the October jobs report doesn't sound like it was even released, right? Because Trump was taking issue with some of the numbers. Sounds like they fired the director of the labor statistics and things like that. So a lot of people have lost their jobs. Of course, y'all have heard about that. I think they say 800,000 Black women have lost their jobs now. There's a whole lot of people lost their jobs. But anyway, so he was basically like, I don't understand how people of color, and of course, I guess that includes us because his congregation looks, pretty Black to me, how they could support him. So again, he's going on with that if you're Black, you need to be a Democrat, right? And of course, people voted for Trump for whatever reason it was, whatever it was, whether it was the economy, the mass deportations, or maybe they just a Republican. It could be a whole host of reasons, right? But again, when you hear about somebody supporting Trump that's Black, it's, oh my God, you're not coming to Thanksgiving. You're just like, you're the worst person in the world. That's what a lot of people say. But we have a lot of issues, obviously, with the Democrat Party, but I want to just kind of take some time to break it down. So, of course, you know that we as Black Americans got involved predominantly with Christianity from the plantation. It was something that was taught to us from the plantation. But, of course, you guys know that they wasn't going to teach us everything. When I say us, because we couldn't read because they didn't want us to read. It was illegal. You get in trouble to read and all that. But they taught certain people to read. Now, who are those certain people that knew how to read? Well, of course, that was the pastor. Now, the pastor on the plantation was Black, right? And he would gather the slaves on Sunday, and he would teach them the things that he was told to teach them, to obey massa. He's always right. And when you die, you're going to be washed white as snow and go to heaven, that kind of stuff, right? Never an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and all that other stuff. But guess what? When this fine gentleman here by the name of Nat Turner found out the eye for the eye part and all that, he was like, wait a minute now, okay? Because, of course, y'all know that Nat Turner was on the plantation, and for whatever reason, the master's wife took an exception to him, taught him how to read, but told him with certain things that he could not read. In the Bible, he was a pastor. He would teach what was taught to him that he could teach to the rest of the slaves. And then one day when he ventured off into the rest of the book, he was like, wait a minute. I've been lied to. I've been bamboozled. I've been hoodwinked, right? So, of course, he did not like that. And y'all know the story, right? The revolution that took place for a couple of days until he was turned in by another slave who did not like what Nat was doing. And I should also say, we kind of really only talk about this revolt, but there were so many. Of course, they don't like us to talk about the revolts, them being, them folks, because they don't want us to know that our people was about that life. We get to know about Nat Turner. Of course, y'all know the movie Birth of a Nation by Nate Parker, Tanked, and that was by design. It was a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. But again, when Nat Turner learned the truth, he was like, Nas, I don't like butter popcorn, right? And the rest is history. Y'all know what they did to him. Okay, so moving right along. Now, of course, I always say that the church, the Black church, and the Democrat Party are very closely aligned. Now, what I'm about to show you, and I talked about this before, and you guys have asked me to kind of talk about, so I'm going to do it a little bit here, the Big Six. Now, within the Big Six was Martin Luther King Jr. He was a pastor. Now, we also know that Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. Again, the Republican Party was a lot different than it is now. The Southern Switch, you got to throw that in there. So just really briefly, the Southern Switch was basically when LBJ came into office, he wanted to do some things with his the great, I forget the name of the bill. It'll come to me. But there was a lot of civil rights things and things like that, and it included us to a small degree. And so those particular Democrats in that party during LBJ was like, nah, I ain't cool with that. I'm gonna go leave and go to the Republicans. So that's how the switch, in a sense, happened, to where the Republicans became like more racist than the Democrats because those Democrats left. So I'm just saying all that to say that there was a thing, but Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. Okay, with all that being said, there was this, I guess, organization, unofficial, called the Big Six, and it included, and I'll put this up here so y'all can see it, the Big Six civil rights leaders. This was in the 60s. John Lewis, y'all remember John Lewis, good trouble John Lewis, he's gone on. Whitney Young Jr., A. Philip Randolph, Martin Luther King Jr., James Farmer Jr., and Roy Wilkins. They all have their own organizations. So John Lewis, he was with SNCC. And of course, Martin Luther King was with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And with that, I'm going to allow y'all to hear from that of Malcolm X. Let's take this down. And he's going to tell you a little bit about the Big Six.
At the Carlisle Hotel in New York City. The Carlisle Hotel is owned by the Kennedy family. That's the hotel Kennedy spent the night at 2 nights ago. Belongs to his family. A philanthropic society headed by a white man named Stephen Currier called all the top civil rights leaders together at the Carlisle Hotel and told them that by you all fighting each other, you're destroying the civil rights movement. And since you're fighting over money from white liberals, let us set up what's known as the Council for United Civil Rights Leadership. Let's form this council, and all the civil rights organizations will belong to it. And we'll use it for fundraising purposes. Let me show you how tricky the white man is. And as soon as they got it formed, they elected Whitney Young as the chairman. And who you think became the co-chairman? Stephen Currier, the white man. A millionaire. Powell was talking about it down at the Cobo today. This is what he was talking about. Powell knows it happened. Randolph knows it happened. Wilkins knows it happened. King knows it happened. Every one of that so-called Big Six. They know what happened. Once they formed it, with the white man over it, he promised them and gave them $800,000 to split up between the Big Six. And told them that after the march was over, they'd give them $700,000 more. $1.5 million split up between the leaders that you've been following, going to jail for, crying crocodile tears for. And they've nothing but Frank James and Jesse James and brother.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Malcolm X. So he was telling the story about how the Big Six came about. But before that, it was a longer version. And he basically said that the powers that be, right, the white folks and all that, the JFK administration and all that, they felt like the civil rights leaders were losing control of Black people in America because Black Americans is like, nah, bump all that. We're about to cause some trouble, not the good trouble, you know, you talking about John Lewis, but like some trouble for real. So Malcolm X also explained that Black Americans were like, yeah, let's really cause some problems. So they wanted to lay down on the LaGuardia airport, landing strip and everything to stop airplanes from landing. They want to really just go and just say, hey, we're tired of this. We shall overcome. Let's just keep marching until, we get a little bit of sprinkle of the pie. The Black folks is like, nah. And so what was told to the Big Six is, hey, y'all fighting with each other and this, that, and the other. Why y'all fighting? Because you know how our leaders do, right? Why I want to be the leader. Why you get to be the leader and all this other stuff. So the white powers that be was like, listen, y'all are losing control. And if y'all lose control over your respective organizations and churches and things like that, then, it's not going to be good for us. So to what Brother Malcolm X said, they got $1.5 million to go back and say, okay, we're going to do a march on Washington because that came out of it, right? We're going to act like we're doing something, but the goal was never, and listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of them because I know sometimes when I discuss Martin Luther King and the rest of them, people get mad, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to point some things out. So their goal was really until Martin Luther King woke up. Now let's put that in there. But the goal wasn't to help Black Americans overcome. It was really to keep us comfortable because us overcoming is what? To everybody else. As we've always heard, Black unity is a threat to America. You can throw in the Black Panthers, you can throw in the NOI, you can throw in Marcus Garvey, you can throw in all of that, right? So that was going to be a threat. So make Black folks think something's going to happen, but actually don't have anything happen. Then, of course, y'all know when Martin Luther King Jr. woke up, then he went to sleep type of thing. All right. So I'm just trying to draw a correlation between the Black church and politics, specifically Democrats. Now let's go to 2019, 2020, where President Joe Biden was running for office. Y'all remember that he was running for office and he wasn't doing so well. His campaign was just not exciting. So then he moseyed on to South Carolina and had a great conversation with Representative James Clyburn. And then James took him into the church, took him into the black church there and said, hey, listen up. This is my guy. You know, you need to vote for Joe Biden. He's the one. And South Carolina put him over in the primaries. And that's how we ended up with Joe Biden. Honestly, you can look it up with the help of James Clyburn in the black church there in South Carolina. Now, we also know that the black church really has always been conservative, right? Any of us have spent any time in the black church, which I have, I know all of y'all have, it's conservative, and I'm 54 years old, so I remember going to church with my grandmama, right? I don't care if you was wearing a burlap sack, you was wearing a slip under that dress, you wasn't going to do A, B, C, and D, sit down, stop chewing gum, be quiet, all of that, right? And then the things that were coming out of the pulpit were that of conservative. Nowadays, not so much. And I want to show you this to just illustrate this. Now, this was when Ralph Warnock, I should say Reverend Ralph Warnock, who is also a senator from Georgia now. He sits in the church that Martin Luther King Jr. Sat in. He's still the pastor from what I understand. But when he was debating that of Herschel Walker, this is what he was saying.
Right now, what happens when politicians, most of them men, pile into patients' rooms? You get what you're seeing right now. And the women of Georgia deserves a senator who will stand with them. I trust women more than I trust politicians.
Okay, so that was Reverend Senator Ralph Warnock. Again, he was speaking about the deletion of babies. That's why I kind of blocked it out, because sometimes we can say it, sometimes we can't. But he was talking about the deletion of babies. Now, that's one thing that we were not big on in our community, is taking the lives of babies. But now it's kind of become a thing, right? And you would never really, and I'm going to be careful when I say this, because I'm going to add something to it. You really would never kind of see pastors talk like that, you know, because it's a sin. It is, right? You can look anywhere in the Bible, talks about, you know, taking the lives of this, that, and the other. But there he was, because he's running under the Democrat ticket, right? And the Democrats are, delete babies, it's okay. And of course, you know, if you go back in the gap, then you can bring in Margaret Sanger, who's a big-time eugenist and big-time Planned Parenthood, and she felt the way about Negroes having babies, right? They shouldn't be, because I did a little bit more studying, and she was trying to clean it up. Oh, black women, they're downtrodden and poor. They shouldn't be burdened with having babies, so we should find a way to help them get rid of the babies, right? And some people don't know, and this is where I'm gonna say, please don't get mad at me. But and you can look all this up. Martin Luther King Jr. received the first Margaret Sanger Award in 1966. In fact, his wife Coretta Scott King accepted it for him because he had some last minute things that he had to do. But in short, he basically, in a sense, agreed with that we in the Black community were not very versed on family planning, and that's okay, that we are introduced to that again. Margaret Sanger was like, yeah, you know, and she had ties with the KKK. All this y'all could look up, right? For the sake of time, I just didn't include a lot of it, but she had ties with the KKK. And Martin Luther King said he would consider that one of his most prized awards. So we know what she was about. Now, listen, I'm not saying that Martin Luther King Jr. Was about that, like really taking the lives of babies, but it was more like family planning thing. Now, if you go back to the 1930s, and I tried to find the letter, I think maybe they scrubbed it from the internet, because I saw it once before, where Margaret Sanger was writing to a friend of hers or something. This is the 30s, okay? Martin Luther King was a kid at the time. So in the 30s, she says to her friend, we need to find a Negro pastor or somebody that's high esteem in the Black community to go into the Negro community and to talk to them about the importance of Planned Parenthood and eugenics and that kind of stuff, right? And then 30 years later, Martin Luther King Jr. accepts the award, right? Because they were in agreement about Planned Parenthood kind of not being a thing in the Black community. So basically, I guess we were just, procreating like rabbits and we couldn't take care of the kids, but that was the solution. All right. So we used to be very conservative in the church. I don't go to church, so I don't know necessarily how conservative we are. But the other thing that I need to talk about is the shmoney. The shmoney in the Black church is aplenty. They said from the 1980s until now, the Black church has amassed about $500 billion from tithes and offerings, and probably some other things here and there, but mostly tithes and offerings. But then if you go into any of our communities, you will see that there's a lot of churches, but not a lot of progress, right? The communities are dilapidated and things like that. I mean, there's some places in Houston, there's probably like 4 churches on just like one block type of thing. But then the rest of the neighborhood is like, how y'all got all these churches, but the neighborhood is crazy, right? You would think the church would be like here. That's a different story. So they get a lot of money in the church. So I said all that to say, going back to Pastor Jenkins, is like you are admonishing Trump supporters in your church, but you're not talking about all the things that ill the Black community, right? Like poverty and all that. There's a lot of people who are poor that go to church, but they're expected to sow a seed of faith. It sans the light bill that might be due. Sans the mortgage that might be due, you need to sow a seed of faith, and then it's like, well, God also told you to use wisdom. So wisdom tells me, while you telling me, Pastor, to sow the seed of faith, I got to pay my light bill because I know the benevolent fund ain't what it used to be. See, back in the day, sister so-and-so and brother so-and-so could say, hey, church, I got a need. And I'm not saying all churches have this situation, but it seems like they do. A lot of them do. They used to be able to go to the church and say, hey, I'm about to get put out, or we don't have no food. Or is there some money that y'all can give me? All the benevolence fund is low, come back next month. But, everything else in and around the church ain't suffering. The pastor, all of that. I think the pastor should get something for his time and stuff. But I just always have a problem when the pastors, everything is better off than the people in the church, right? And so instead of admonishing the people in the church for voting for Trump, ask them why they voted for Trump. Because the other thing is they're still there, I'm sure, giving you tithes and offerings. You ain't got a problem with that. And, they probably felt like I'm going to get something out of Trump that I couldn't get from Biden. Of course, if you're a Black American, you know that the mass immigration issue had a large effect on us. But see, nobody wants to talk about that. And there he is shaming people for voting for Trump. Who they vote for is their business, but you shaming them for voting for Trump. You're also saying you should be voting for Kamala or the Democrats, because again, we are expected to be Democrats. If you Black, you a Democrat. There's no other way around it. But instead of saying, hey, let's have a conversation. Maybe there's something we can do in the church, right? To have you maybe not going to vote for things that I deem to be austere to Black folks, right? Because the church, they have more ability to help Black folks than any politician does, because they're closer to the Black congregation, right? Trump, Kamala, Biden, Obama, they're not close to the Black congregation unless they go up in their pandering, right? So that you are a pastor in this church, I don't know. It seems like you should be able to talk to them and say, okay, what do we need to do differently, blah, 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 so that politics is not come up in the church. And it's not part of my sermon. And I'm not kicking y'all and y'all behind the choices that you made. Again, the Democrat Party talking about democracy's in danger. Democracy means that you have a say-so. Now, I know as Black Americans, we ain't never had no say-so, but let's go along and pretend that we do. So if you are a Democrat and you run around talking about democracy's in danger, why are you always trying to take it from people when they use it? Democracy means I should be able to go vote for who I want to vote for and not have to come to church and hear me get rebuked and chastised and all this other stuff to where you want to cuss up a storm because I exercise my right to vote, right? Democracy. So I'm going to also, because I said I'm going to try to be solution oriented, right? With that, now, as y'all know, I say I don't go to church no more, but I've gone to church, born into the Nation of Islam. So I subscribe to a lot of things, but this is one that I always remember. The solution. 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needed not be ashamed. And this last part is what I really like. rightfully dividing the word of truth. So I put that up there is because a lot of times people go to church, you don't question your pastor, you scared to question your pastor because the lightning gonna strike you, the ground gonna open up, swallow you whole, and all that other stuff. So you don't ask, right? Because like if I was a Trump supporter and I was up in the church, I'd have went up to him and be like, can you expound upon that? Like, why, what vexes you about me voting for Trump, right? And then he would need to back that up with the word of God, because I don't know that they delved into politics a little bit in the Bible, but I don't ever remember it being partisan. I don't know, but the Bible also says, in regards to Caesar, respect the government, right? Whoever's in charge, you need to respect that. So, don't be afraid to ask questions of your pastor, of your church. Why are we doing A, B, C, D, or whatever it is, right? That's what you're supposed to do. But a lot of times y'all sit up, because I don't go to church. Maybe not y'all, them over there sit up in church. A lot of times your pastor don't even have a Bible. He won't ever crack it open. You won't even crack your own Bible open to say, is what he's saying true? Does it line up? Oh, yes, hallelujah. You don't even ask. He could tell you to do all kind of foolishness. And we've seen it. Okay, I've been in church before, so yes, I've seen some things. It's like, I just don't know, right? But yeah, y'all won't ask questions because you just think that his mouth is a prayer book and he's the pastor. He ain't Jesus, right? I'm just going along with the ideology of Christianity. He ain't Jesus. He ain't perfect. He ain't died for your sins and washed your sins or what. He's a pastor. He's a man, which is why I always say one of my favorite movies is The Apostle with Robert Duvall. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a great movie. And I learned a lot from the church just from watching that movie. Excellent movie. The Apostle. He's just a man, right? But he feels like he should chastise people. Now, the other thing is, if you don't like what you see up in your church, leave. Just leave. You're not going to go to hell. Ground's not going to swallow you up. I don't think it is. I mean, not because of that anyway. It might be a pothole or a sinkhole, but you're not going to leave. Find somewhere where you can be fed, right? Manna, the word of God. Go somewhere where you'll be fed. But if you got a pastor that's doing that to you, mad enough to where he going to cuss you out because you exercise your democracy and your right to vote, I bet he don't have no problem with the money that you putting in the bucket every month. He ain't going to be that doggone mad up in there, is he? He ain't going to put you out. Right. But he feel like that's his right to tell you how to vote. But guess what? It's going to get worse because, again, those protections from separation of church and state, they're not there anymore. So you're going to see all kind of foolishness and chicanery and clownish things go on in the church. We're telling you exactly who you vote for and this, that, and the other. See, I don't want to sit nowhere in nobody's church where you're going to tell me how to vote. I'm going to vote how I want to vote. Right. What I need you to do is give me the word of God, crack open the Bible, give it to me straight. I don't need all that, how you feel, you finna cuss everybody. I don't know how y'all do it. You know what I mean? I don't know how y'all sit up in people's churches like that, acting a whole donkey. But yeah, I just thought that I would just break that down and show y'all really how close the church, especially the Democrat Party, are aligned. They work hand in hand. You got a pastor up in there who will do the bidding of the Democrat Party, even though the Democrat Party has not done anything specifically for Black Americans, never have and never will. But he mad because people ventured off from the flock, which is also why a lot of times, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the church, but the church won't teach you the truth, because if they teach you the truth, that means that they're going to wake you up, because there is a lot of truth in that Bible. There's a lot of truth in the Bible, but they know you won't understand it. And a lot of times they really won't just give it to you like they should give it to you, because they know if you really woke up and understood the truth, that you probably wouldn't be up in there. Because God ain't never asked nobody to go to church, have no relationship with the pastor and all that. God is not religious. He says, have a relationship with me. Right. But I'm not a pastor, so let me shut up. Anyway, let me get into the comment section, and thank you so much for bearing with me. I'm going all the way back up to the top. See if I can beat the comment section today. Yeah, I see all the Bible scriptures. Thank God it's over. He says God hates liars. Yeah, all that. All that. Alan, how you doing? I hope you do well. Train Lava And again, y'all names are kind of close together, but how you doing? A good day to you as well. Rams, what's going on with you? Big Word, what's going on? It says, so glad to meet your supports. Yeah. Back at you, homie. And that you probably sit up in his church too. Some of these comments I'm just not even gonna read because you silly. Guess what I'm gonna do the first time on this show ever? Y'all know what I'm gonna do? I'm finna block a fool. He blocked. All right. Todd, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Nadia, what's going on? It says, what the F is colored? That's what he said. I didn't say that. People of color, right? Black Jesus, how you doing? Okay, guess what? You getting blocked too. Bam. Won't he do it? Maybe God is making me block people. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, Simply Sandra. I don't know why he wanted to cuss, but I guess he was mad at people supporting Trump. Don Starr, how you doing? Says rather have Trump in office than Kamala Harris any day. You know, and if you want to do that, that is your right. I'm not one to tell people who they should or should not vote for, but I don't think that's the pastor's job. You know what I mean? Like, give me the word. Give me the word, homie. Chris, how you doing? Says the pastor shouldn't chastise Trump voters, but at the same time, I can't get voting for Trump as a black person. If you just listen to Trump base, they have contempt for almost any black political demand. I mean, they all do. See, this is the problem that I have with y'all and y'all selective outrage. And this is why I try my best as just from my platform to really get people to think. Saying that Trump and the Republicans, and I'm not saying I don't like all the things that Trump and the Republicans is doing. I'm nonpartisan. I'm going to keep saying that. But saying that Trump and the Republicans don't like black people almost implies the Democrats do. How is it that y'all are tender? Y'all tender over Trump, but you and Trump is an entertainer at the end of the day. And guess what? See, because y'all don't like facts. Trump was also a Democrat. He was a Democrat up until like the 2010s, 11s or something, when he started with that birtherism. But if you study, which a lot of you don't, not y'all, some people, he said a long time ago that he could run as a Republican and probably win. He said, I could go out into Times Square and take somebody's life and get away with it. He said that. But y'all forget, Trump is an entertainer. Trump is a salesman, right? That's what he does. They go hand in hand. When you're an entertainer, right? Because he was on The Apprentice and all that, you do what? You act. When you're a salesperson, which I have an extensive background in sales, you got to sometimes, not that I did, okay, which is why I didn't make a lot of money. I'm just keep it real. Sometimes you say things to get people to buy stuff that don't necessarily benefit them. It benefits you, right? Because there was this saying that said, it was by Og Mandino, and my mom said it a lot. Timid salespeople have skinny kids. So what that means is, if you will, would you please buy it? Gosh, I think you'd really like this. You probably ain't gonna eat, and your kids gonna be skinny because they not gonna eat. So when you a salesperson, you say things. So I say all that to say, y'all more mad at Trump, who is enriching himself, but then you are at the Democrat Party, who has been in the lives of Black Americans for over 60 years, promising but never delivering, kicking us in the tailbone, and we don't have nothing to show for it. How is it that you just selective about that? That's why I said to check your source. If you got people that are keeping you mad and angry, you're not a Democrat, you should be a Democrat, vote blue, never matter who, ask yourself why. Like, honestly, it's annoying after a while, because, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Don't blame me, blame the coffee, okay? Like, I get so annoyed at the willful ignorance. Like, we as Black Americans especially got to stop being so emotional. And me as a woman, I just don't like that from men. It's a turnoff. So emotional. So just think sometimes. Please. Dr. H. Coates, what's going on? It says people get who they voted for as the antagonism, that Black Democrat, that equals Black Democrat offensive. Okay. But of course, did I say hi to you? If not, hello. Alan, why are we living in the past? Because if you don't study the future, then you don't know nothing about the present, which is why we are going what we're going through right now here in the future, because y'all don't study the past. You're supposed to study history. If you don't study history, then you don't know how we got here, which is why you run around talking about vote blue no matter who. If you understood what that really meant, you probably wouldn't do that no more. You probably would be in the middle and say, I'm nonpartisan. You need to earn my vote. That's why you go back in the past. Anyway, McQueen, how you doing? Says, I think politics need to be left out of church. It has nothing to do with religion. It's a dangerous mix. I totally agree with you, right? Let's see. Oh, we just gonna keep on blocking people. Bam. Cause see, I don't mind the comments, but I'm not gonna do foolishness. You know what I mean? Especially from you emotional people. Todd, how you doing? Says, greetings. So by this pastor's logic, voting blue will solve the problem. Yeah, right, per his logic. And I want to preface this by saying that I'm blocking people. I'm not blocking you for having a difference of opinion. I'm blocking you for saying, things that are just stupid to and about me. Okay, so that's why we blocking people. Difference in opinions, no. But talking about my white daddy Trump and all that, gonna get you blocked because my daddy black. Let's see. Chris, he says, these Trump ridicule FBA people for sport. A conservative only gets their wing once they ridicule black people. Okay. Spock, how you doing? Says, why does Demetra always take up for Trump while bashing black Democrats? You ain't heard me take up for Trump. I hope that helps. African native. Okay. I'm gonna you tell them. Woody, how you doing? Says, no. Let's see. Truth Seeker, he says, I agree with the pastor about black MAGA voters. That's your opinion. James, how you doing? Says, I'm sick of and tired of all you crooked pastors and preachers using God to do crooked things to anyone. Stop being crooked underneath. If you are going to serve God, then be about God. I totally agree with you. Let's see. Going on down. Tori, how you doing? Says, he's one of those false prophets that Jesus warned us about. I'm a black American who will die before I ever vote for another Democrat. Yeah, and unfortunately, some people feel that way. Like I said, I'm nonpartisan. I could do either way. You just got to be, really being about something for black Americans or something I can use. If you're not, I'm not going to vote for either one of them. That's just kind of my stance. African Native says, if today's generation of black Americans had the same energy like Malcolm X, they would have gotten reparations already. Yeah, and a lot of these people that's vote blue no matter who, they don't like what Malcolm X was talking about either. Malcolm X, he had a lot to say about the liberal, right? He basically said, if you black and you voting for the liberal, you know better. Because the liberal, he wasn't fond of the conservative, because that's what they call him, conservative liberal. But he wasn't fond of them, but he was like, yeah, the liberals show up and promise and lie, and we know that, and yet we still sign up to vote for him. Now, he was saying this in the 60s, and here we are in 2025, people crashing out and getting emotional because people are saying, well, maybe you should stop doing that. So they would be mad at Brother Malcolm, too. Sure would be. Skipping down, let's see. Lion of Judah, how you doing? Since this brother is very sold out, he has say so many insane things as a pastor. Yeah, I've seen him here and there. I don't follow him. I just kind of saw this, but people like they pastor talking to them like that up at the church, and that's their business. Richard, how you doing? Says, I really don't believe that we should vote for Republican or Democrat that really don't do anything for black people. Neither one of them do, right? But again, you got these sensitive people on here who, feel like the Democrats is the party of black people. Again, if something is for you, don't they do something for you? I dare any one of these people, I was going to say something that I would say on my channel in this comment section to tell me what the Democrat Party has done for black Americans specifically. If they can say something in this comment section that the Democrats have done for black Americans specifically, I'll never mention the Democrats again. And it better be specifically only. Okay, Woody's got to go to. Bye, homie. Okay, Michael, how you doing? Says Ramadan Mubarak. Yes, indeed. Going down. Larry, how you doing? You says you can't do nothing with nonprofit only in any community. Okay. JJ, what's going on? She says, preacher's Cadillac fund is always loaded. You better stop. Chill J, what's going on? Says, FBA reparations, nothing else matters anymore. Yeah, the Republicans want to give Black Americans reparations, cool. If the Republicans want to do it, or the Democrats, I think it said either one of them, then cool, right? That's what the conversation should be, not this one. I just feel like the Democrats don't like Black people. Mom, I just feel. That's in my head. That's what I hear when people crash out and cry over, oh, you're not a Democrat. That's what I hear. And then, like I said, when I see grown men do it, it's just, it's nasty. Shane, how you doing? He says, we should be selling our vote just like Congress sells theirs to billionaires. Exactly. Stein, I hope I said that right. He says, thank you, Teach. I'm trying. This person is, y'all can make all the pages you want, but guess what? I got a good, strong block finger. What me worry no today. Okay. Elderberry, how you doing? He says, some people thought they were doing better than their parents who were alcoholics that fought and sliced each other instead of, I think you're on the wrong channel. You might need to go to the Drug Anonymous or something. I don't know. Simply Chandra, I'm trying. Sister Sunlight, how you doing? He says, Black pastors are going to start pushing pro-Zionist agenda. Oh, they've already started. I've already seen it. Lion of Judah says, it's your choice who you vote for. We as Black people do not have any obligation to just vote for the Democratic Party. Yeah, but that's not a popular message, but guess what? I ain't scared. These people don't scare me. My heart don't pump no Kool-Aid at all. The people they hang around rather, probably scared of all that yip yapping they doing, but that don't do nothing to me at all. Yakobo, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. 90 minutes news. How you doing? Said, did someone say Charlie Kirk did something for Black folks? You are delusional. He called the savages. Don't let that boy. Oh yeah, I deleted that comment. These people, they ain't got nothing else to do. They must love it here, because I don't go to anywhere that I don't like. And in California, we got a saying that I can't say on here, but it's a song by Too Short and E40. But I won't say it on here. Mick Niffy, you put some Roman numerals. How you doing? But of course, this is our land and soil, Black power forever. Yep. Albie Chill says Jordan Maxwell did an I know what you're trying to say. I just can't say it right now. About words, rather, breakdown of the word church, and it was very interesting. Edward, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Okay, this one person's got to go to One Black Rose. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Going down. African Native says white Jesus appeared to many Africans in their dreams. Says they come to testify to the congregation. I only dream of my ancestors. Yeah, that's indoctrination because anything about Jesus, he wasn't white. Right? But that's something that was taught to them. As I said the other day, you close your eyes and somebody says, now think about what Jesus looks like. Most people are probably going to envision the white surfer dude, right? With the long blonde hair, the blue eyes and the rosy cheeks and, all that. And it's just not possible. King Noble says, y'all know how I get down on my channel. Like, I don't really like the Black people, but if you just in here just saying stupid stuff, you're going to get blocked because we're trying to elevate higher and we not going into the gutter with fools. So, yeah. Lighten Gritter. I hope I said that right. How you doing? Because again, y'all names are smashed together. Your average logical thinker, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Sergeant King, how you doing? Says 501c3 slaves is the problem. Pay your taxes. Yeah, they get a lot of tax breaks. The churches. Hey Timothy, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Just gotta want to acknowledge everybody haven't seen so far. Mars Dreams, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Ty, you said facts. Trump played both sides of the aisle. That says a lot about us. Yeah, but we just we just believe everything. It's crazy to me. Like y'all don't know who Trump is. He's still that. Trump won't give a doggone about anything that's going on in this country. Trump is trying to, secure the money for his lineage. That's what he's doing. He doesn't care. Trump is not even really in the White House like that. He's got everybody else doing it. Some people argue that Stephen Miller is, running things around there, which he may or may not be, right? Trump is like, where they giving some planes at, right? Where they giving some money or some this or that. That's what Trump is doing. But he already said he was going to be doing that. But people are just trying to... But they do not talk about the Democrats and their benign neglect the most of Black voters, but they want to whine about what Trump is doing. Trump gonna be up out of office in 3 years, and I guarantee you, if a Democrat get back in there, they still not gonna care about Black people once Trump is gone. You can hold me to that. Tyrone, how you doing? Hope you're doing well today. Going down. Yeah, your average logical thinker gotta know your past, but they but see again, These same people will whine about Trump and them getting rid of the books and all of the museums, and you ain't gonna take your ignorant self in no museum to go look at some of this Black history they getting rid of, but you'll cry about it. They getting rid of the books. They chopping them. They taking us out the museum. When the last time you've been to a museum? Because museum talks about history mostly. But yeah, we ain't supposed to talk about history, but then you whine and cry about them taking it out of there. It's silly. But again, those people giving their whining talking points. This is what you're supposed to be mad about today. Go troll people who trying to, bring consciousness to their people. Go troll and be a distraction. And they go do that. They don't listen. Marcus Garvey said, okay, when they was trying to get everybody to go back to Liberia, all of that, everybody wasn't on board. And he said, there are some that are no good here, and I'm going to throw in ignorant, and they're going to be that over there. Therefore, those people have to be left behind, okay? We're not trying to change our minds no more. We understand y'all going to be left behind, okay? When the moving forward goes on, we don't want y'all to go. You know why? Because you're going to be up wherever we at, progressing. So stay. We not begging you to come along. I promise you, you won't be missed. Respectfully. My crazy cousin, how you doing? Says, you enjoy my content? Well, I thank you. I enjoy you being here. Yakoboy says a salesman can sell a screw for $500. They model is never take no for an answer. Yeah, like I said, I got an extensive background sales. I know how it get down. Sherry, how you doing? Says true. No church dictator takes Jesus' place, but these people think that he does or she. And say all kind of stuff that ain't even lined up with the word of God at all. For example, Pastor Jamal Bryant, he was doing a sermon. When what did he say? We all know what he said. These hoes ain't law. How you get to talking about 304s up in the church like that? You quoting the whole Chris Brown song. I don't know. That was in the Bible. The Inkwell, how you doing? Says too many of our people have tunnel vision. They see one or the other, right or left, not neutral. How about staying in the middle? I love it. The middle that's where I would be. I don't know, Sister Sunlight. I didn't think it was time for Ramadan, but maybe it's always Ramadan somewhere. Hitman, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Luna, what's going on? Says, I'm loving your vibe. Thanks for speaking the truth, which equals love. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of people, they not really mad at me. They mad at the truth. That's okay. Because those people don't study history either. And so they probably don't know a lot. They think they mad at me, and I don't take it personal. When I click off of here, I'm going to go into my kitchen and look for something to eat because I haven't eaten today, and I'm going to probably find something else to do. I'm not even going to think. So I don't take that personally, but the ignorance it just drives me nuts. So because it's willful ignorance. You like all this good knowledge out here and you don't want none of it. part that makes me mad, right? They say my people were destroyed for lack of knowledge and the rejection of truth. So the knowledge is going out and you rejecting it, but then you just mad, ignorant and mad. Got to be a terrible disposition. You ignorant and you mad. I couldn't imagine being both. In a sense, I should feel sorry for people like that. Ignorant and mad. Man. Dollar Will, how you doing? Says it's absurd to say Democrats have done nothing for blacks ever. From the 60s forward, liberal Democrats have done more for us. However, they definitely neglect us. Well, tell me, what have they done for us? I just give one. One thing that the Democrats, liberals, the left has done for Black Americans specifically. Just give me one. Don't give me that all lives matter and the people of color, the minorities, the marginalized. Don't give me none of that. I said specifically. Because one could also argue that the Republicans have done some things that includes blacks. So give me one thing. And we were mostly Republicans until the New Deal came along. FDR, he wasn't trying to include Black Americans. His wife said, hey, homie, you trying to win the presidency again, you need to include Black Americans. And he begrudgingly did that. That was after the Great Depression, right? Everybody was struggling and, Black folks struggled worse. But he was really trying to do that to help his people. And then we got included with the New Deal. That's how we started to switch to the Democrats. But that wasn't nothing specifically. It was something including. Like, oh, okay. That's what that was. So I'm going to wait. Because I know I'm very behind in the comments. And I don't mean to be Abdul. What's going on with you? Says Trump, he is a new Hitler for real. I mean, he may be. I'm not saying he's not. But you acted like Joe Biden, Obama, or any of them. Because I'm talking about Black Americans. You acting like they were not that. If that's what you are defining Trump as, you're acting like they weren't that either. Joe Biden has never bit his tongue about how he felt about Black folks long before he became the president. He never bit his tongue. Even lied on some dude named Corn Pop. Corn Pop was a bad dude, right? Nobody ever found Corn Pop. I don't know. But nobody has been fair or any of that to Black Americans. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said nobody in the White House is going to do anything for Black Americans, which is why we were called to do for self. But yet we want to cry and whine about some political party doing something for others. Listen, if you didn't know, I'm going to tell you right now. Don't say I never told you. Nobody in the White House cares about Black people. Not Obama, his mama, and her mama cared or will care specifically about Black Americans. But the good news, when we care about us first, then they'll have no choice, because then we say we ain't voting for no damn body until we get something for it. See, that's on us. So yeah. Let's see. Bernice, how you doing? Says I would not trust any pastor who went and made a pledge to Moloch. They will come back and lead their congregation to the house of Satan. And forgive me, I don't know what that is. Fancy Tiger says, I see the time. But that's an interesting thought. If you close your eyes and think of Jesus, what color is he? I wonder what age a Black person must be to see him as Black. Well, everywhere you go. I mean, even today, you see a white Jesus. I'm not saying we necessarily think he is, but that's the image that has been inculcated into our mind. A white Jesus. But if you read the Bible, he couldn't have been white. Not like that. He'd have been sunburned on that picture. Red Wine, how you doing? Says, can't feel sorry for him. Christopher, what's going on with you? I'm trying. Rhonda, did I say hi to you? If not, hello. I know I'm so behind in the comments. Darnell says, I normally don't agree with you most of the time, but you have a right to your opinion, just like I voted for Trump. It's no secret. Well, yeah, and we're not ever going to agree all the time, but we need to be respectful, right? And some people are just so doggone, just I don't even know the word. I can't find one that I can say on here. So yeah, they want to be like that. And it's like, and you want to be ignorant? You want to be like that? It's crazy. It's maddening. Johnson, how you doing? Says Black leader are for immigrants. Houston, Texas, we need help. Black leaders fight for your people. Now, yeah, that's a whole different. We could do a whole show on that, but I don't really delve a lot into Houston politics as I'm not from here and I'm still kind of learning things. And I got to be careful because I don't want to come up missing. Because I heard they get gangster behind they politicians here. Rhonda says Obama, Biden, the Clintons do not care about FBAs. They don't. I know we think they do. And listen, I'm not saying the Republicans do, but guess what? They don't hide it. Is that why we're confused? Because the Republicans don't hide their disdain for Black Americans and the Democrats do. So is that where we're thinking, well, they like us? The Democrats like us. Do they? When you like somebody, you do something for them, right? I want to make the Black American community better. I'm going to make sure when they go outside, it's a great place to look at. There's no potholes. There's no pawn shops and checking the cashes and liquor stores. I'm going to make sure that they good, right? I'll make sure they ain't got no food desert. Just on that, just if you're talking about that alone, your local politics. I'm going to make sure that dusty HR 40 that's sitting on the shelf gets taken off the shelf and we really study it and say, oh, well, that was easy. Black Americans deserve reparations. This does not take a long study, right? If you care about something, you make sure that something or those someones are better off. The Black American community has not been better off under the leadership of the Democrat Party, right? We know the Republicans, they don't come up in our churches or where our spaces. Hey, I got a fish fry for you, and we got some great twerkers. If you just come, they don't do that. The Democrats do that. I saw a meme. There's a meme of a car. The drivers are the Democrats, and the person getting kicked out of the back door are Black folks, because that's what they do to us once they get our votes. And then they go drive that car over to illegal immigration and everybody else that's considered a people of color, a marginalized group of people, or a minority. They go help them specifically. And we get the kick out of the car after they kick us in the tailbone. And then they say, in 2 to 4 years, be here. Same time, same place. This car gonna pick you up, and then when you're done voting, the car gonna kick you right back out. And I might not even kick you out where I picked you up at, because I don't care about you like that. I'm gonna kick you out, just wherever I want to kick you out at. And good luck, right? So again, I'm gonna get out of here because I see my time is up. Black says, you mean Michael King, and I don't know who that is. No name. How you doing? And hello to everybody that's come on here. But listen, I heard this a long time ago. It's tight, but it's right. Tight means that, it don't feel good. It's just tight, whether it's a coat or a shirt, and you just busting through the shirt. It's tight, but it's right. Deal with the right part. A lot of times the truth ain't going to be comfortable because we have been used to the lie. We've been thinking the lie was the truth. And the truth is voting blue, no matter who, is not good for Black Americans. That's the truth. Now, is it tight? Yeah, because we've been taught that it was. Because my mama, my grandmama, and my granddaddy, and all of them, they was Democrats. You got to be one too. Well, how did that leave your relatives off? Not good. So then why should I continue to do that? Shouldn't I do something different? If I'm trying to boil an egg in a pot of water and I don't turn the stove on, then I keep trying to do it and the egg doesn't boil, and then somebody says, hey, have you thought about turning the stove on? Because that's what makes water boil, right? Then I say, nah, I'm good. I'ma just keep trying the cold water. You don't want to eat the egg boiled. You want to eat it raw. Okay? The truth is you need to turn the stove on to boil the egg. We got to deal with the truth sometimes. Anyway, I love and appreciate every last one of y'all. I'm going to get out of here. Please pay attention to all the content that's coming forward. We got a lot of great people who have worked very hard to bring you the news you can use. Of course, again, get our app. But the good news is for those of y'all who like me, I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Time. And the good news for those of y'all don't, I'll be here at 11 a.m. Central Time. Peace.